How are you doing, math learners? This is your free access math teacher Ash, and welcome to ML with Sir Ash. For today's lesson, we're going to discuss how to graph and solve linear inequalities in two variables. So, before anything else, hit the subscribe button and notification bell for you to be updated of these cool clear math videos just like this. Hello math learners! Welcome to another session here in Math Learning with Sir Ash. Today, we're going to discuss the most essential learning competency-based lesson for Quarter 2 of the Grade 8 Mathematics, which is all about solving linear inequalities in two variables as well as graphing them. Also, in this lesson, you will know how to distinguish or differentiate linear equations to linear inequalities in two variables. So, let's start. The first question is, what is a linear inequality? Basically, linear inequality is just like linear equation. However, instead of using the equal sign symbol, we are using inequality symbols. Question: what are inequality symbols? For equations, we will be dealing with equal sign. However, in linear inequalities, this will not be used. Instead, we will be using the greater than, the less than, the greater than or equal to symbol, and the less than or equal to symbol. Sometimes, we will encounter the not equal symbol. So basically, these five symbols will represent your inequality. Okay, now, how about linear inequality? Talking about linear, it means that the degree of your expression is in the first degree, meaning that your variable for x has an exponent that is only 1. Now, how do we differentiate linear inequality? We know that the standard form of linear equation is ax plus by is equal to c, and its slope-intercept form is represented as y is equal to mx plus b. That is for linear equation. Now, if we go to the part where it will become a linear inequality in two variables, this equal sign will be changed or will be replaced by any of these inequality symbols. Easy, right? Now, let's consider some examples. Okay, math learners, we have here 5 examples. Question is, which among the 5 given mathematical sentences is considered to be a linear inequality? First thing we should do is to look first in our given. Now, are there two variables? The first one has 2, the second one, the third one, the fourth one, and the fifth one has 2 variables. Okay, so all of the mathematical sentences are in the 2 variables, the x and y. Now, are they in the linear? Of course, all of them are in the linear state because the highest exponent is 1. Now, let us check which among these 5 is a linear equation and a linear inequality. Okay, so remember, for linear equations, it uses equal signs. So, which among these 5? Okay, that is the second one and the fifth one. So, these are the linear equations. And the other given examples, the first example uses a greater than symbol. Therefore, that is a linear inequality. Also, in our third example, we have 11 minus 5y is less than x. Therefore, that is also a linear inequality. And finally, we have 0 is greater than or equal to 4x plus 2y. That is also a linear inequality. Easy, right? And now, let us go deeper and know how to graph and how to solve linear inequalities. Okay, math learners, we have here our exercises for this topic. Solve and graph the following. Y is greater than or equal to negative 1/3 x plus 2. The second one is y is equal or less than 2x plus 2. For the third example, y over 2 or y halves plus 2 is greater than x. And for number 4, 5x is less than 2 minus 4y. Okay, now, remember, in terms of graphing, we will be using the rectangular coordinate system or the Cartesian plane. Now, the question is, how do we solve and graph this given inequality? Now, remember, math learners, in graphing linear equation, remember the y-intercept form, and that is y is equal to mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. If you know the y-intercept, that would be your first point, and then you will just use your slope to have a second point, and then you can just draw the line, or you can just draw the graph, and that's it. However, here in linear inequalities, we are talking about several solutions. This could be infinite, my dear math learners. Now, as you can see, if you could remember this expression, y is greater than 5. Now, what does this mean? It means that we are talking about the value of y is greater than 5. So, what are numbers greater than 5? So, if we are talking about integers, that would be 6, 7, 8, 9, and so on and so forth. So, the solution set for this one is 6, 7, 8, and an ellipsis, or a positive infinity. Okay? So, that is basically the value of y. Now, if we have a value of, let's say, x is less than or equal to 2, that means that x can be equal to 2 and x must be less than 2. So therefore, our solution set will start at 2, and those numbers that are less than 2, and those are 1, 0, -1, and so on and so forth, or the negative infinity. Now, this is the concept of inequalities. Now, if you could still remember our linear equation, if we have this Cartesian plane and this is our graph of the equation, the linear equation, of course, this is the y-axis and the x-axis. This is your origin. Now, any number or any point that is part of this graph is the part of your solution. So, in linear equation, anything or any point that is beyond or that is part of the line is an answer to your given equation. But that is different in linear inequality. Why? If we will be talking about linear inequalities in two variables, we will be talking a region, meaning a part of the Cartesian plane. Now, how do we write that in this kind of scenario? Let's consider the first example. Okay, math learners, as you can see, we have the first inequality. Y is greater than or equal to -1/3 x plus 2. Now, our 2 here will represent as our y-intercept, and our -1/3 will represent as our slope. Okay, now, before we will continue, I just like to emphasize, your graph has two distinctive lines. We will use a solid line if your inequality symbol is either greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. Now, you will make a broken line if your symbol for the inequality is either greater than, less than, or not equal to. Okay? So, since our first two inequalities uses either the greater than or equal to symbol and the less than or equal to symbol, then the graph or the line of our linear inequality is a solid one. Meaning, the points that will be lying on this graph will be part of the solution. Okay? So now, let us solve our inequality. So, if I have the Cartesian plane, I will start first with my y-intercept, and that is +2. So, that is +2. So, that is here. So, this will be my y-axis. And this will be my origin. Okay. Now, I have a slope that is -1/3. It means that I will go down 1 because 1 is negative. And then I will run to the right side 3 times or 3 units. So, 1 and then 3 units. Okay, so I will be here. And this point is located at 3, 1. Okay, or +3, +1. Now, math learners, I have already the graph. This is the one, but this is not yet finished. Why? Because this is for y is equal to negative 1/3 x plus 2. That is for linear equation. This is a linear inequality. Therefore, I will be getting what region, whether it is the upward region or the downward region of this graph, that will be part of the solution. So, how do I test this one? Now, this is what we call the safest way to test. So, since our origin is right here, I will test whether the 0, 0 or the point 0, 0 is a solution of this linear inequality. If so, if the resulting statement is true, then this region is part of our solution. Otherwise, this will be our solution. Okay, now, I will now use the 0, 0 in my linear inequality. So, that will become 0 is greater than or equal to negative 1/3 times 0 plus 2. So, negative 1/3 times 0 is 0 plus 2. Okay. So, 0 plus 2 is positive 2. Now, the question is 0 greater than or equal to positive 2? That is false. Okay. So, therefore, my solution is in the upper side of the line. And this will be the shaded region in your graph. This means that any points located in the upper part of that graph is part of your solution. And this is how you solve for your linear inequality. Easy, right? Now, let us go to the second example. Okay, math learners, for our second example, we have y is less than or equal to x plus 2. Of course, so therefore, our 2 here is our y-intercept, the same as number 1. And the numerical coefficient for x is positive 1. Therefore, our slope is equal to 1. Okay, so how do we do this one? We make our Cartesian plane. This will be your x-axis and your y-axis. This will be your origin. Now, positive 2 for y-intercept, so that is here, okay? And our slope is positive 1 over 1. So, it means that if your slope is a whole number, your rise over run, your run is always equal to 1. So, you will run on the right side. Okay, so since this is positive, so I go up 1 and then I will run to the right side. So, 1 unit upward and then 1 unit on the right side. So that is here. Okay, so now I will make my graph. And this is how my graph looks like. Still a solid line because we are talking about less than or equal to. Okay, so the question is, what region is part of the solution? Is it the down part or the upper part? Okay, now remember, the best way or one of the easiest way is to consider your origin as part of the solution. So, I will take this linear inequality and I will test the origin. 0, 0. Your x is 0, your y is 0. So, that will give me 0 is less than or equal to 0 plus 2. So, that gives me 0 is less than or equal to positive 2. Now, question is 0 less than or equal to 2? Of course, the answer is true. If that's the case, then this 0, 0, where it is located in the down region of our graph, is a part of the solution. Therefore, your shaded region will be below. Easy, right? Now, let us go to our third example. Okay, math learners, for our third example, we have y over 2 plus 2 is greater than x. So, how do I do this one? So, I will multiply the whole equation by 2 so that I can eliminate the denominator. So, by multiplying 2 to the whole equation or to the whole inequality, that gives me 2y over 2, which will become y. 2 times 2, that is 4. And then 2 times x, that is 2x. Okay, so now I don't have any denominator except 1, of course. I will now make this into a slope-intercept form. So, how do I do that? I will just transpose the plus 4 here. So, by transposing plus 4, that will become minus 4 in the other side. Okay, so basically, if this will be your expression, you can now determine your y-intercept and your slope. Okay, so how do we do our graph? We have negative 4, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is here. This will be your y-axis, and this will be your x-axis. Okay, this will be your origin. Okay, and then your slope is positive 2. That means positive 2 over 1. Your rise is positive 2. Your run is positive 1. So you go up twice or 2 units, and then you run to the right side. So that is 1, 2, and then run here. So that is here. And now I will make my graph. So now this is my graph. Question is my graph correct? Okay, since we are dealing with greater than symbol, this line should not be solid. This should be broken. So you must make a broken line. Now what does this mean? If you have a broken line, meaning that any point that lies on your graph or on your line is not part of the solution. Okay? Those points that will be shaded, those are the only solution of your given linear inequality. So now let us continue. What is the next step? So now let us test our origin, whether this is part of the solution. Okay, so that is 0, 0. Let's consider the original. So that is y over 2 plus 2 is greater than x. Okay, so this will become 0. So that gives me 0, 2, 0 over 2 plus 2 is greater than 0. Okay, so simplifying this one, 0 over 2 is 0, of course, plus 2, so 0 plus 2, that is still 2. 2 is greater than 0. Now, question is the statement true? 2 is greater than 0. Yes, it is true. Therefore, our origin is part of the solution, so we will shade on the upper part. So this is the shaded region or the solution of our linear inequality. Now, for sure, you will be asking me, Sir Ash, what if the origin is part of your line? Now, if that's the case, let's say our line is here, touching our origin, then you can consider other points, such that that point is a part of a region in your graph. So, let's say this is your graph. You will find any point below on this region. You will test that one, right? Now, after testing that point, if that is a true solution on the final statement, then the region where that point is located is your solution. Otherwise, you will be shading the other side. Okay? Now, let us go to our final example. Okay, math learners, we have here our example, 5x is less than 2 minus 4y. Now, let's consider another way of graphing, that is by the use of the intercept, the x and the y-intercept. Okay, so x-intercept and y-intercept. Okay, of course, if that is if that is x-intercept, we will be using 0 as our y, and if we are getting our y-intercept, we will be using 0 as our x. Okay, so let's solve first our x-intercept. So that gives us 5x is less than 2 minus 4 times 0. So 5x is less than 2. Alright. So we divide both sides by 5. And our x-intercept lies on 2/5. Okay. So if this is our Cartesian plane, x is in 2/5. That is basically less than 1. So if this is 1 and this is your origin, 2/5 is just somewhere here. Okay, 2/5. And then we have our y-intercept. So in solving our y-intercept, that gives us 5 times 0, because our x is 0, is less than 2 minus 4y. So this will become 0, this will become 2 minus 4y. So we transpose our 4, so that gives us 4y is less than 2. Okay, and then we divide both sides by 4, so y is less than 1/2. So 1/2 is here. If this is 1, your 1/2 is here. So it's so little. Okay, so if we graph that one, that will looks like this. Okay. Now, basically, sorry. So we just write 2/5 here, and we just write 1/2 here. Okay. So basically, what we will do is we will test our origin, 0, 0. So if we try to test our origin, that will give us 5 times 0 is less than 2 minus 4 times 0. So that gives us 0 is less than 2 minus 0. So 0 is less than 2. Question is 0 less than 2? Yes, that is true. So, therefore, 0 is part of the solution. So that will be our shade. But our graph will be a broken line because our symbol is like this. And that is how you graph it. So math learners, I'm sorry for the imperfect way of drawing the graphs or sketching the graph because we don't have any Cartesian plane as a big board. Okay? But the concept, this is how you get the concept of this one. So by graphing, you can either use the x-intercepts or the y-intercept form. And now, this is the time that I will challenge you whether you understand our topic, and here it is. Okay, math learners, I hope you have a wonderful time about our topic for grade 8. This is still your free access math teacher Ash, and always remember, it is fun to learn mathematics if we are together learning. Thank you so much, God bless, and thank you for subscribing, liking this video, and sharing this to your friends. Keep safe always. Congratulations, math learners, for arriving to this part of the video. If you think that this video have helped you, click that like button. And if you think that this channel can change the way you see mathematics, do not forget to click that subscribe button and notification bell. Thank you.